Right, thank you very much for your time. People have been asking what the music is this year, so I thought in case anybody's interested, I've managed to find out. So it's a band called, there's a play called The Rich Woods, apparently. So in case, Rich Woods, apparently, if you're interested. So anyway, can everybody hear me all right? I'm sorry if you can't see me. I'm quite small, and for some reason the lectern's quite high. So I hope you can see me above screens and things. So this session we'll be talking about artificial intelligence. Okay, so it's not a technical session. What I want to do is share with you a roadmap, a journey about how you can be successful with artificial intelligence. I tend to think there's a bit of a disconnect in that a lot of companies are still in Excel. And not that I don't love Excel, I do, but you know what I mean. How can you go from sort of drowning in spreadsheets to actually using AI? So that's something that I thought actually might be quite a practical thing to talk about. So a little bit about me. My name is Jen Stirrup. You might have detected an accent. I'm from Scotland, but I now live outside London. I can't do anything about the accent, I'm sorry. 20 years living away from Scotland is still here. So 20 years ago, I actually lived in Paris, I lived in France, and I was studying artificial intelligence. Now, AI probably seems like a new thing, but actually it's not new. The only thing that's new about it now is that we now have access to big data, to cloud, and things that really allows AI to be accessible to any organization. So a bit about me, I'm a Microsoft MVP, and I'm also a Microsoft Regional Director. That really means MVP award means I like the sound of my own voice talking about Microsoft technologies, which is why I'm here. And the Microsoft Regional Director role, I'm trying to figure that out. I'll let you know when I do. So when people start to talk about AI, you start to see cheat sheets appearing, and they look a little like this. But to me, that's not a cheat sheet, and it's certainly not very easy. If your organization has got Excel, and if you're a more traditional organization, you've got data and databases, maybe data warehouses, you might be using some of the cloud, but not all of it, and things ticking along. Then usually what happens is you get a boss coming along who's read half of a big data book that says big data and AI is going to solve all of the world's problems. The thing he hasn't done is read the second half of the book that says it's actually quite hard sometimes, okay? So he comes at your desk and says, you're the data person. This AI stuff, you've watched Terminator, you can do this. And you've got a new thing to worry about. So I'm here to try and help you with the thing. Okay, the thing is that people are both inspired and a bit scared by artificial intelligence. They're inspired because every single day you open Twitter and AI is doing something new. And some of the videos that are coming out are just great. The one of the robots sort of opening the door and racing down the corridor is actually quite scary, but very fascinating at the same time. But people are scared about it for the organizations as well. I speak to organizations, and the CEO, the C-suite will say to me, we're worried about the next Uber or the next organization that's going to come from nowhere and really knock us off our pedestal. So say, for example, you take something like a recruitment firm. It used to be that you would sign up for a recruitment agency. The agency would help you find a job. But now you see people are moving onto Google and searching for jobs in their area. And then Google comes up with a nice map. Click here, and here's jobs going here, there, and everywhere. So all of a sudden, the recruitment agencies are thinking, hang on a minute, if people are using Google to search for jobs, where do we come in? So these are sort of the disruptions that we're starting to see in lots of industries. Uber is just one example. They don't, as you know, they don't actually own any taxis, and they don't have any employees, according to them. Debatable, according to European law at the moment. But you know who they are. It's such a well-known brand now, and they disrupted the way things were. There's probably It's not just the technology that's available. I think it's actually customers being satisfied with less things. They want more. They want a personalised experience with you. They want fast and they want yesterday, okay? So you've got your boss on one side wanting everything fast and everything yesterday, and you've got the customers who also want fast and want yesterday. So the world is, we're all speeding up. So the way that I looked at this was, you might have heard of the book Alice in Wonderland or seen the movie, yeah, with kids or whatever. There's a bit in Alice in Wonderland where they talk about the Red Queen's race. I've put the original etching up there from the drawings. And Alice is running under the tree. And she's not winning her race. She's realised she's been running really hard and she hasn't got anywhere. And that's the Red Queen's race, where you're running in the spot, but you're not actually moving forward, just staying where they are. The Red Queen's race itself is actually used as an analogy in things like biology as well. It can be used for things like genetics, so it's quite a well-known phenomenon. I think it also can apply to organisations as well. Everyone's running really hard, not really moving forward, but running so hard, looking after their own data and trying to contain data and look after it and have that guardianship role and make sure that it's not your organisation that's being in the news because someone's hacked it, like Equifax or one of these organisations. So there's a lot of pressures. But in the meantime, there's also other things happening where people feel they have to keep up and the world is moving faster. So AI can offer great opportunities, and everything seems to be developing at quite a fast rate. But how do we manage that? How do we start to get through it? So when your boss comes and asks you, I've got 1,000,001 things I'd like to do with AI, I've heard about this AI stuff. You've just come back from Ignite. You've just walked 8 miles a day attending sessions. Why don't you come along and tell me exactly about this AI stuff, and we're going to start in Monday. So where do you start? Now, normally I find with these projects is people tend to bite off more than they can chew. There's a thing called Amara's law, and Ron Amara, his name is American, who talks about technology curves. And it tends to be when we have a new technology, we get overexcited about the hype. And then becomes a point of disillusionment. And then actually the impact of the technology is much more longer lasting than we realised. It's just not the big spike that we saw at the beginning. So that's Amara's law. I think there's some truth in what he says. You just have to look at blockchain at the moment. Blockchain is actually a really slow technology, but we're in that very early hype cycle where we think it's going to change everything. And then we'll probably hit the bump again. And then things will start to even out, and then it will have a more sustainable, long impact. I think probably with AI, we have been through the hype, and then we went through the bump. And I remember when I first started delivering AI projects 20 years ago, I had just graduated. I was an artificial intelligence consultant for 5 years, and I delivered big solutions for well-known organisations in the UK, Tesco. I did for Nationwide Building Society. I did work for Hutchison 3G, a 3-mobile firm. And I was developing solutions that read inbound email, worked out the meaning of the email, and then sent the customer a response back. And the reason we focused on email, because 20 years ago, everyone was starting to drown in email. It's still the same today. But companies in particular were drowning in email, and they needed ways of handling that. So automating email made a lot of sense. And then AI seemed to disappear because it didn't deliver in the original promise that people expected it to have, the way that we'll probably start to see with blockchain and big data as well. But we'll start to see a more longer, sustainable results pattern. So when I actually found that around the time of the IT bubble, I think that was where the internet actually hit its bump. And then it's had a much larger, wider ranging impact than we thought it would have. So around that time, Google picked up AI, rebranded it Search Technologies, because AI was no longer marketing friendly, and AI seemed to disappear. So I then moved into business intelligence. but it comes back again in a cycle. And I think the key to success is to start small and start pre-baked. And this is where I think Microsoft have given you a good helping hand. They're helping you to be successful early with small things. I sometimes do executive coaching, and half of the room was afraid of artificial intelligence. They're accountants. They say, well, it's going to take our jobs. No, but it might change your jobs because it might automate things more to let you do things that do require much more human intervention. Take, for example, some studies in AI that have been done to help analyse and discover tumours in cancer. So what they find is that the AI algorithms are very good at distinguishing something that might be a tumour from something that isn't. So it can parcel out the X-rays that are irrelevant very, very quickly and home in on the ones that might be a tumour present. So what that does is it doesn't take away the physician's job at all. It just means he doesn't have to spend a lot of time looking through X-rays where something is not present. And he can focus on the X-rays where something is present. So that saves his time. From the patient's point of view, they get their results faster. And under these very difficult circumstances, they will want that. They will want to know one way or the other. So absolutely, AI can help to automate things. And if you're looking at using AI, something I do find is people don't know where to start, but they don't know what they should do with it in their organisations. I'll give you some ideas, but I think a big part of it is automating something that is actually quite mundane. That could be handwriting. One organisation I'm working with is automating the identification of handwriting. And the reason they're doing it is to save someone typing. Now, it's not that they're going to get rid of the person doing the transcription, not at all. What's going to happen is the automated stuff will be done, the easy stuff, and that will speed her up, actually, because she's absolutely sinking under the weight of all this transcription. That's the problem. Automating some of it will help, so she can do the bits that's a bit harder to read. If you've ever looked at a doctor's handwriting, it tends to be really messy and really difficult to read. So that's the sort of stuff that she can focus on, not the stuff that's really very easy to identify. So the best thing is really about start with small, achievable steps, and also be prepared to go outside your comfort zone. I think actually by coming to Ignite, you're kind of showing you're willing to come outside your comfort zone anyway, because you're willing to learn new things. I get fed up going into organisations and having them ask me if I can fix their SQL Server 2005 setup, in which I usually say, could we please work with technology that was created in this decade? Please, if that's something that's not too hard for everyone. I remember one organisation was still using DTS. If you do know what SQL Server is, you wouldn't have heard of DTS for a long time. It was written in 2000. So they weren't using it when I left, I'll say that. So I think the thing is, it's good to try and learn new things. So we've got some examples, I think. Another thing, a challenge that business has, where AI, I think, can help you, is businesses usually they've got lots of pipeline of ideas of things that they would like to do. And in large organisations, those ideas can be very siloed. So the marketing department want to do something. The sales department might want to do something. And that's because organisations tend to be structured in that way, by content, by function. It's very hard for them to sometimes understand, actually, this is a common problem across the whole organisation. Analysing handwriting is something that will be pinching or hurting all of those departments. So that's just one example where if you can find a common problem, you're more likely to get impetus behind it. In these projects, very often it's about people and process, not just technology. And trying to bring people along with you can be really hard. But if you can find a common problem that works across departments, you might find there's more impetus for people to do it then. It's not just one or two voices. You've got lots of voices across the organisation asking for the same thing. Now that may sound obvious, but humans, despite the fact we are the apex predator, we do not like change, okay? Coming back to our SQL Server 2005 people, some people will just never embrace it. You will always have the early adopters and the people in the middle, and then a very long tail, okay, of people who are not as comfortable with it as you will be. And sometimes people say, you can't do that. And what they actually mean is, I don't want to change that. Yeah. But it's about defining that roadmap of initiatives. So if your data is not clean, maybe start and adopt a strategy of trying to clean the data so we can make it better for AI projects. Cleaning data is really hard and it's also really boring, but that will be a visible impact that you start to have straight away. You don't have to maybe spend 2 years cleaning your data. What I tend to do is I try to inherit that technical debt and tuck it into every single project that I do, that we solve at least one problem that's dirty data. So when you look back over 6 months, you can see, well, actually, we have solved some of the dirty data problem. As an aside, one company I worked with, we're producing, for every 3 dirty data items they solved, they were producing 5 more items that were dirty data. So they were just getting worse further and further away from the goal. But at least I could try and say to them and quantify it by saying, you need to do something about that. You're getting further away from where you are. So even though it's not an AI project, it's something that can feed quite well into an AI project, because that will impact your business straight away. It can help you to try and meet some of those key business challenges and create values that are right across the organisation. So having that roadmap of initiatives, something that I tend to do is I use the Gartner methodology. You can download it from the internet. They keep changing the name. I think it's currently called Business Analytics Team. It used to be called a BIC, a Business Intelligence Capability, something or other, BICC. They keep changing it. And then they change it to Business Analytics. But basically what it is a virtual team in different departments. So you get someone from IT, someone maybe from sales, someone from marketing. So you start to move towards that data stewardship, data guardian role. Sometimes just getting people around a table can be really hard. One organisation, it took 2 months because suddenly people were busy when you wanted to talk about data. But the reality is data is not IT's problem. Data is everyone's problem across the organisation. You can't have a bystander approach to it and say, oh, that's everyone else's problem. It has to get fixed somewhere, and everyone should inherit a bit of that problem. Because for data for AI, you do need to have reasonably good enough data. Otherwise, it is like data warehousing methodology, garbage in and garbage out. So expecting to adapt as new business opportunities and advancements start to appear. So I'm going to recommend a book to you. His name is Peter Hinson, Hinssen. He talks about the new normal, about how what we see as normal can keep changing all of the time. And it's the same in our organisations as well. Another really good book to read is Andy Grove's book. Andy was head of Intel for 30 years. He passed away only a few months ago, actually. And his book is all about how he kept Intel at the top of their game throughout all of the technological changes that were happening. Because, of course, they were a hardware company, and how did they cope in these busy environments? So new things keep coming at us, particularly in technology. So I'm going to start to talk about Microsoft technologies in a minute, but these are just some ideas I wanted to try and throw at you to see how perhaps you can start to think about using them in your organisations. So we keep talking about machine learning and artificial intelligence and deep learning. And these can be quite close together. The terms are used interchangeably. So just to let you know, machine learning and data mining are pretty much the same thing. It depends on the marketing person. Maybe I'm just a cynic, but I try and go past the marketing material and work out what they actually mean. Vendors can mean different things, but use the same terminology. An example of that is data lake. So if you look at what Microsoft call a data lake and what EMC call a data lake, two completely different things. So terminology can be quite important. So machine learning is really about just trying to find those predictive analytics, the models, and productionize them. So artificial intelligence is about trying to find human-like reasoning and imbuing computers with it. Within artificial intelligence, there's 2 main camps. You get applied artificial intelligence, which is more like Alexa and Cortana, these kind of technologies where you try and imbue a human-like intelligence, but for one thing, okay? So Alexa and Cortana are very, very good at understanding you and doing what you ask them to do, but you would never ask them to make you a cup of tea or coffee, because that's just not what they do. So they do one thing, but they do it very well, and that's applied artificial intelligence. And then you get this sort of more normal Hollywood definition of artificial intelligence, which is Terminator. You know, robots are going to come after us and all sorts of bad things are going to happen. So we're not there yet, very fortunately. So when we say machine learning, what we just really mean is finding the predictive analytics and the models, but not necessarily trying to find that human way of thinking inside it. Deep learning is something where it's a very specific field within artificial intelligence. In AI, we've got something called neural nets. They are very similar, they're inspired by brains, actually, human brains, where you've got neurons that all connect together. You have an input, lots of neurons fire, then you get an output. And then you get another input, slightly different neurons fire, and you get a different output. Neural nets are actually extremely good for certain things. They're fantastic for things like frauds detection. They're very good for that. But deep learning is where you get lots of neural nets with lots of hidden layers, lots of neurons all hooked together. And the complexity, that piece in the middle, is why it's called deep learning. It's got lots of layers of neurons in between. The issue is that people don't always work out the maths very well for what the middle layers happen to be. Neural nets are not always very good at telling you, how did we get that result? I did notice that Microsoft this week have actually announced in Azure Machine Learning that their neural nets are going to tell you how they got to these numbers. And that's because people don't trust something they don't understand. And that's very fair, we're all human. Just because it does well, we want to know how well is it going to do when it's out in the field. And customers get it. So another type of AI is a chatbot, and we obviously have these in Microsoft technologies as well. Recommender systems, all of you must have used Amazon at some point. You go on the website, it recommends you things based on your last purchases. You look at your friends' Amazon, they will have slightly different things than you probably. They recommend different things. So things like anomaly detection, that can be quite good for things like detecting cancer cells. Classification and clustering can be very good for helping you to understand your customers, actually. Their characteristics, where they are located, their age, what purchases they bought. So it's really a mechanism for grouping people in buckets. So if you're interested in starting something to do with AI, something in that sort of remit, looking at your customer activity can be quite a good starting point. So I'm going to give you some ideas where you can think about just for your own organisations where to get started, and then we'll look at some of the technology. Okay, so a good place to start is your customers. Try to analyse and work out what your customers are doing. I'm a consultant, I work for myself, and I'm constantly surprised by how many companies I work for who don't really have the concept of a customer. They have got customer in about 10 different databases, and they can't always join them up very well. I spoke to a potential customer a few weeks ago who said we would take months to organise our customer into one table, into a data warehouse. That's why we don't do it. And they have it all over the place. So sometimes just tidying up the customer tables and things can help. And I think that's a good place to start, because Microsoft have got some algorithms and their machine learning technology. They can help you do some classification work. They've got a gallery. You can just go in and start to play with things. It's a very safe environment to do that. So focusing on customers is a good start. And if you don't always want to understand what your customers are doing, maybe think about using AI for something that would increase their customer satisfaction. An example of that is one customer that I've been working with. They are doing a chatbot on websites. And what it does do is it hooks up with the accounts department. And it means that companies, I can log on to their system, have a conversation with a chatbot, and the chatbot will go and tell me the status of my invoice. Where is it in the process of being paid? And that's very useful for me as a small organisation. It means I don't have to wait on the phone. I can just log on and find out. Obviously, for small businesses, they need to think about things like cash flow and make sure they keep on top of it. So these sort of chatbots are just nice for the customer satisfaction, but again, you're asking them about one thing. I'm not going to ask it the weather or to have a chat with me. I'm not going to tell it my problems. I'm not going to ask it the meaning of life. It should come back with 42, but who knows? Do you know why you chose 42, Douglas Adams? I found this out recently. It's 42 is the ASCII code for an asterisk. And in a select statement, so if you do select star, select asterisk. So it really means the meaning of life can be whatever you want it to be. And I think that was very cool. It was a very clever man. So if you learned one thing and anyone asks you in a pub quiz, you will know that that's the ASCII code for a star. Came to ignite you learn something. He was a very clever man. I always think of him when I go to an airport. He always said no one ever said as pretty as an airport. I think he was right. So another way to think about AI is to think about reducing costs. So that cost can be in different things. So if we go back to the example I was just thinking about, where you've got somebody with chatbot, I can converse with the chatbot. It gives me information very quickly. And when I was working with email management, it was the same thing. It was about reducing costs. And it wasn't about losing people at all. It was about trying to make sure that they were more effective and productive as possible instead of trying to throw the basics at them. So that's really what it was about. It's not about losing people at all. It's more about automating to try and make they're more productive, so that's good for the business, but it means that they're more challenged as well. I'm a big believer that people need to be challenged in what they're doing. They need to be engaged and interested, give them more interesting things to do. It also allows you to be creative as well. So one organisation I was working for, we developed little lockets that people could wear. It was aimed at people that were elderly and people with Alzheimer's and dementia. So if you've ever seen anyone with these diseases, they are really horrible diseases, and it's very difficult for the families as well. And Alzheimer's and dementia, they sometimes can wander, and that's very alarming. I get emails in my local area to look for people who have wandered. So the idea with this locket was they could wear it, it would be light and comfortable, but it meant we could track where they were. We also started to look at doing some algorithms to identify if they had fallen. With people with Alzheimer's and dementia, they tend to do better at home than being put into a home where they can be cared for 24/7. And that's the intention was good. It was about trying to see if people could be kept at home for really as long as possible. So we started this for some fairly standard algorithms to identify if someone's fallen or not, and then to see if they had got back up again by themselves, or to determine if they had sat down again. So we started to implement those, but then I found actually the device data, the lockets, were actually the data was so dirty. It bumps now and again, and it would give you like double hops instead of just one amount of data. Sometimes it would miss. So they went back to the drawing board with the device and made their own improvements after that. So what was interesting about that is trying to use AI for good and to help people using standard Microsoft technology, actually. I remember speaking to one customer who'd read a little bit about AI, and he said, "Jennifer, I've been doing some reading," and he said, "You haven't given me a neural net yet, and I really, really should have one." And I said, "Okay, so what is it you need the neural net for?" And he said, "Jennifer, that is a beautiful question. I have no idea. I've just heard about it with this AI thing, and I know that I need one, and you haven't given me one, so I'm not happy." Okay, let's reel this back a little bit. What do you think a neural net actually is? And I think you could see he was floundering then. And I said, well, you need to focus on the business value first. Find a problem you want to solve. A neural net is one way of solving a problem with AI, but it's not the only way. And I'm trying to work out what is the best way to solve your problem and what the best models are. So Microsoft have announced a new service that will help you to determine which model to use, and I think it's really useful. Okay, so capitalize is really about exploiting the next wave of disruptive technologies, and I think that's what Microsoft has started to give people. I think they're really moving towards doing AI as a service, and that's what the new changes are. So we'll talk a little bit about those. But ultimately, artificial intelligence, data science, when you break it down, it's quite similar to business intelligence in a way where you clean your data, you model it, you understand the business rules, and in BI you do lots of aggregations, sums, averages, top 10, top 5, and lots of time analysis and time series stuff. And that's your business intelligence. That's all about what happens up until this point in time. So it's very much looking in your rear view mirror to find out what happened. But AI is one of these technologies. One of the directions the data can go is once you've got that data in place, moving from your business intelligence estate, taking that data and trying to use it for AI purposes. So it could be that in the handwriting example, we could start to link that with the nice computer, with the nice customer information in the business intelligence systems. So we start to see AI as a service. You've got this engine basically crunching away, doing the handwriting analysis. It's just trying to figure out in a handwritten form what people actually said in free text. If you've ever done a BI system where you've got a free text field, you will know what a pain that is, because customers and agents will type in any old stuff and they'll do it in the wrong place. And a lot of it is you having to go in and clean it and then tidy it and put it in the right place. And I think with AI, what it can do is help smooth that handwriting analysis for you so that it can help tidy up the bits you don't want getting into your BI system. So it's trundling away, giving you the results, which you can then use further on, later on, to give you a bigger view of what the customer's saying. Identifying the model, is something, I don't know if I'll see if I can find it. It's called the Azure ML cheat sheet. I recommend if you've never seen it that you look for it. I'll see if I've got time to Google it for you or to bring search for you. We can find it, and it basically tries to work out what would you like to do, and then it does like a flow chart to try and break the models down as easily as possible. So tune parameters, that's really all about just trying to work out the results and seeing if it's a good fit or not. So some of that can involve some statistics. There's a lot of really great free courses out there and books. There's a great one I can recommend you can download as a PDF. It's free, genuinely free. The authors have given it away. It's by Springer is the name of the company. I'm sorry the title and the name is left me. But if you have a search around for Springer and the statistics book, you'll absolutely find it. And really, AI itself is building on the data you've already got. So your data set, hopefully nice and clean. And then sometimes with them, if we're looking at a neural net, we sometimes put in boundaries, so the price can't be too high, can't be too low. We're trying to do some training on it. Then we can automate it. So that really means putting your AI model into production. What I do find is when people put things into production, they can sometimes forget about it. So one of my customers, the model was performing well, they were happy with it. So the project was signed off, I left site, only to get called 6 months later when they said the model is not working. I said, okay, so let's have a look at it. So I went back for the day, and they had done no testing. They had not made any effort to make sure that the model kept up with the input of the data. So the world had changed around the model, but the model had not changed. And they'd done, despite my warnings, despite me training them, they had just done nothing. So that's something to think about, is it's never something done and dusted, that's it finished now. It's always keeping on top of it, because the world will move around it, absolutely will. Okay, so Microsoft have done lots of tests that you can go and have a look at, but it's a very high level. It's all about that repeated iterative training process. So you get your data, put it into tests and training sets, and then you keep the training set aside till you've finished doing trying to create models using your testing data. Microsoft have got a methodology actually, which I think is quite good, to help you to get you started on the road. So we said at the start, to start small, just in a small achievable chunks. And I found when I'm doing these projects, this diagram is one of the most helpful, because I'm explaining to business people concepts that are technical and sometimes quite difficult to understand. This is Microsoft's methodology. It's called the Data Science Lifecycle. So we start at the top, business understanding. Okay, so the thing is, with the business understanding, is basically about trying to find a problem to solve. So one example of a project that I did recently was analysing homelessness data, and I was doing that for one of the councils in London. So what we did there was, what business problem do you want to solve? So I said to them, send me some information before that arrives, so I've got time to prepare, do some reading. And they sent me a deck of about 24 slides of all the things they'd like to do. And I said, no, pick one. We need to just pick one. We're not going to do all of these. Which one would you like to do? So then it boiled down to, well, we'd like to do something in either this area or that area. And one of them was homelessness. So I said, well, which one would you find it easier to get the data for? And it really came down to that. I don't know how it is here, but in local government in the UK, it's quite difficult to get their hands on the data. Lots of red tape, everything else. So that's where we started. So that was us formulating our business question. And our business question was all about just trying to identify and predict who would be most likely to fall into homelessness. Who would fall into that trap? So we could start to look at the data. So then after that, it was about acquiring the data, which sounds simple, but actually it can be quite difficult to get the data. There's lots of regulations. And so some of the data has to be anonymized, which always takes time as well. Obviously some of it I can't see. So you've acquired the data, you might have to anonymize it and remove the bits that they feel they don't want to include in the analysis, and that's fine. The thing with them, so then we started to do some business intelligence on the data. So tell me the total of homeless people, tell me the average age that they are. Just quite simple questions, and actually it revealed some really interesting things. And I realised that actually nobody had been through this data to try and answer these questions. So they had an amazing time actually going through the data, and they identified characteristics they hadn't seen before. And we were able to identify the number of people, for example, that were repeatedly homeless, as opposed to the people that were homeless just once. And that makes a big impact. And then when you look at these people, what's happening is they just have a run of bad luck. We also found that when you think of people being homeless, you do tend to think about the person on the street that you see asking for money. And you might be slightly afraid of them, they've come up for money, so you might just ignore them and move on. Actually, the largest group of homeless people were women and children, victims of domestic violence. They have to leave home very quickly under very difficult circumstances. They require emergency housing, which is not always suitable. It can be a very long way away from children's homes and their schools. So in these circumstances, you want to help these people, and everybody does. Who doesn't want to help these people with a lot of bad luck? So that was acquiring the data. We started to understand it and what we were actually looking at. So then we started to look at modelling the data, so we could start to look at trying to work out some of the classification and some of the categories that these people were falling in. So then we could start to see, well, actually, so many of these people are veterans, so many of these people are small families that have been reached into trouble. So then we could start to do lots of analytics around that. So that was where we got to actually at that point. And I use that just as one example of a live project that I've been working on. His idea is they want to understand homelessness better and build in, almost model that data. And the reason for that is if somebody comes at the council to ask for help, that can kick off lots of other processes that can say, actually, this person might be at risk of homelessness. Let's catch them before they fall into that trap by trying to understand them as an individual, the 360 view of them. And it's actually very hard for businesses to understand their customers, but with local government, it's even harder. You've got so many other variables in there. So that's the sort of example where it can be really useful. So just some of the Microsoft. Microsoft have just announced this. They have really trying to get people started with AI. A great place to start is Azure Machine Learning Services. It's online, it's in the browser. And what it does is it tries to work out what you want to do and a few models that might be appropriate for that. So then you can start to work out, well, these models, we want to do classifying, so let's start there. It means that developers can get started using AI without having a real expertise or knowledge in AI. Not many people do. It was a very niche area for a very long period of time. It was wandering in the desert on its own while everybody looked at big data. It had no friends, no one at its birthday parties, poor AI. And all of a sudden it's the most popular thing in town, apart from blockchain, which is even more popular. So people are wanting to get into this. They want to get it started quickly. So I think Microsoft, if you have a look in detail at their Azure Machine Learning Services, is a great way of doing this. So you've got, one reason AI came back into it is because of the processing chips that they were using for graphics, the GPUs. Researchers started to use those to do AI because they were great processors. And it was actually not something that NVIDIA had envisaged when they were building these things for graphics drivers. So it was about thinking out the box. These researchers in academia were all grabbing them, saying, right, we'll have those for AI, thank you very much. And that's what they did. So now the industry is starting to catch up. So Microsoft had built these FPGAs. It's a field programmable gate array. So you can actually start to use this technology in Azure. The good thing is that you don't have to start buying lots and lots of equipment if you just want to try a project, and then tear it down if you're not using it. So Python seems to be everywhere. Okay, Python is great for cleaning data, and it's the Python SDK in there means you can use it from some of the notebooks. If you've never looked at any of the notebooks, I recommend you do. They're a lovely way of programming. When I used to do things in Visual Studio, you've got the code and then you've got the results in the output window. But the notebooks are quite different because you've got the comments, the code and the results all in one place. And then you've got the code and the results and hopefully the comments. I always put them in, but not everybody does. And the idea is it follows this flow process, the thought process, very well because you're commenting and coding as you go. I don't know if you do this, but I make changes and then I prefer what I did 5 minutes ago. So I have to go back and work out what I did. But the iterative programming notebook style would allow you just to look up a few rows and see things that you would like to see. So something else to look at is Azure Cognitive Services, speech recognition translation. It might be a good way of thinking about using AI in your organizations to try and think about customer satisfaction. And so there's the Microsoft Bot framework as well. They've made it a lot easier to build chatbots. This might be something you might want to do on your website. Have a bit of a play with it. It might be fun. Put 42 in there and then see what they say. So just to summarise, the technology I think is there in Microsoft now to go and have a blast, to go and have a play with it. And probably if I were you, start with Azure Machine Learning Services. It's in the browser, lots in the gallery, so go and have a play with that. That would be my recommendation. All right, does anyone have any questions? You all want to go to the party tonight? That's right. Well, I'll let you go 1 minute early so you can go and beat the coffee queue. So thank you very much.